All right, so I got this comment on my best of 2024 U-Trip Bats video when we posted it, and I felt like it deserved a video in reply to kind of explain my thought process on this and hopefully to kind of help you understand why I feel the way I do about 52-300 softballs, since I have fielded this question quite a bit over the years and sometimes kind of danced around it. But let's just be straight to the point here. I got a couple things I want to say before I do dive in. We hit 52-300s for most of the leagues where I play, and also a great majority of the tournaments as well. Outside of sanctioned U-Trip events, we've hit 52s almost since their introduction to the game, so I have plenty of experience with hitting them. 52-300s and 52-275s are practically identical too, so this is the approach and mindset that applies to both balls for me. When I say ASA ball or bat in this video, I'm referring to the current sanction that is known as USA softball. We spent years referring to it as ASA, so that's just what's burned in my brain. So for clarification, USA, ASA, they're all the same. The thoughts and opinions I'm about to share will probably ruffle some feathers, and I'm not going to go out of my way to scientifically prove someone wrong. These are just my thoughts and opinions on the matter based on the 10 plus years experience I have reviewing bats and hitting these 52-300 balls and talking with some very knowledgeable people and gathering my own thoughts and opinions based on the conversations I've had, just as you should be doing, gathering information and then forming your own opinion on the matter. Don't just believe everything you read on the internet. So the quote says, good stuff, Jesse. One thing you may want to consider, separate bats via balls. Watch a lot of these and others. It would seem as though some hit 44s well, but not 52s. It would be cool to see the best of 52 bats and best of 44 core. Food for thought, since us Northerners only hit 52s. All right, so if you follow the channel for a while or talk to me extensively on this topic, you'll feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this topic, but it's one of those things I want to cover nonetheless. I have had a lot of requests for a best bat video with the 52-300 ball in mind over the last few years, and unfortunately, I don't think it's worth our time if I'm being 100% truthful. Here's why I feel the way I do about the topic. We have hit well over 100 plus U-Trip bats in our years of doing this, and not one time have I thought to myself that, oh, this U-Trip bat hits 52s better than these other U-Trip bats. And I'm going to explain this pretty loosely to make it easy to understand so you can get a perspective on where I'm coming from with what I'm about to say. When it comes to the core of a softball, the higher the number, the less the ball will compress the barrel on impact. On the flip side, the lower the number, the more it will compress the barrel on contact. So knowing this, here is where this comes into play when hitting a softball with a composite bat. A classic game being a 40 core translates to the ball performing in a manner to trampling the ball off of it in order to have any performance at all. And to an extent, a ball like a U-Trip Pro M, which is a 44 core, will have the same effect as a classic M, but being a slightly higher core, the bat is going to still play a pretty good size factor in performance, but not as significant as the 40 core where it's getting a lot of rebound. Knowing this information, now think about the high core of the 52-300 ball. If you're familiar with a 52 core ball, then you are aware it will bounce off of anything. Because the ball has so much rebound, the ball is rebounding off of the bat before the barrel really has a chance to compress. Yes, there is some compression of the barrel no matter what, but it's nowhere near the same type of reaction as the other two balls mentioned, which means it really takes the variable of the bat out of the equation for the most part. I have always used the blanket statement of if it hits one ball well, it hits them all well. Because never have I hit a 52 with a U-Trip bat and thought to myself that it handled a 52-300 ball better than any other U-Trip bat. Now, there is two things that I have observed when it comes to hitting 52 core balls with U-Trip bats that I do feel like are worth mentioning. The first is when a bat is new and is a model that's going to require some break-in, something that's testing around 300 and it's going to take 400 or 500 swings to get it to move compression at all. And so I'm not talking about the bats that break in 50 swings. It will actually feel like it's hitting a 52 better than a Classic M or a Pro M at the time, and that's because it is, because the barrel's not flexing yet. So again, knowing what we know, the harder ball needs to make the barrel compress. If it's testing really high, it can't compress the barrel, which means no performance, where the high core ball doesn't need the barrel compression. It's just going to bounce off of it. So as the bat breaks in, the harder balls will start to compress the barrel more and more, and the performance will start to increase with the more swings you put on it. As this break-in process happens, the performance with the 52s will slightly increase, but nowhere near as much of a difference as with the harder balls. The second thing is, probably the most notable thing we have observed when hitting U-trip bats with 52s is that the heavier the sticker weight or scale weight of the bat, and the more inload it has, the further it hits them and the better it seems to perform with them. This does hold true for some ASA bats as well, but that's a topic for another video, because there's a lot of different technology between a lot of the top tier ASA bats and the U-trip bats. Now, the reason that the weight works better with these, we feel like, is that since the 52-300 has a tendency to rebound on contact, you need something that's going to have a lot of momentum on impact to increase the rebound effect, since the barrel isn't compressing a whole lot. Now, moving to the other side of this, which is where I feel like a lot of people sell themselves on certain bats hitting 52s better, is moving on to the player confidence side of things. With the high core ball and the low compression of the 52-300, they have notoriously been referred to as mush balls. They can sound very underwhelming on contact, especially in the heat, and feedback from the barrel can be less than ideal for some hitters because sometimes it's almost non-existent. This is where hitters can be convinced that certain bats hit them better than others. If one bat sounds better than another, or it has a more responsive type of feedback on contact, it's very easy to convince yourself that the bat in your hands is hitting the 52 core better than something else you're comparing it to at the time. For trip down memory lane, to use a prime example here, when the Louisville Slugger stuff first debuted their Z1000 bats, and they sounded absolutely crazy, and it still pretty much holds true to this day for the U-trip stuff. Players went crazy for them when hitting 52s because they had such a unique sound to them. And as you got some pretty responsive feedback, you really could convince yourself that you're getting more performance because you're getting a crazy sound and a really stiff feedback compared to a lot of the bats that were out at the time. Positive sound and feedback equates to convincing yourself there's more performance, which leads to being convinced that the bat is going to be better, when in reality, the ball and how it struck is the main factor here. Ultimately, sound and feedback is everything when hitting 52s, in my opinion, and this is also why players go crazy for the NX3 balls. The sound of the synthetic ball with no leather cover on it creates a sound that a traditional ball can't, so it's very easy for people to convince themselves that it's just performing, oh, it's so crazy, right? So if you're underwhelmed by the sound and feel of a bat when you're swinging it, why on earth would you feel confident swinging it, right? So that's kind of the caveat here with the player confidence side of things. If someone were to go to BP and get a bat that they hate with 52s and give it the same effort as a bat they enjoy hitting 52s, they'd notice that the performance really isn't as different as they thought, as long as the specs between the two bats that you're swinging are similar. Now, the loaded question here, since we're talking about 52-300 balls, what do I swing for ASA play? Right now, it is a 2016 Dean Rainey Flipper OG, and I only swing that when I need an ASA stamp. When it kicks the bucket or the compression comes into play, which it's on the line, okay? It's got a lot of swings on it. I will be swinging a balanced Pure Evil, and it's ready for action. It's broken. It's ready to go. Thing is awesome. Pure makes some great ASA bats. You got to check them out. But with that said, unless an ASA stamp is required, then 95% of the time you'll find me swinging my U-Trip Gamer in ASA play, which is actually legal to do here in Missouri. There's occasions where I might game something new that just came out just because it's been a topic in the ASA scene, or maybe an oldie, like the OG Flipper, where I can swing a U-Trip bat, but I'll swing the Flipper just for kind of the nostalgia of it. But I can almost guarantee you that you'll find me switching back to my U-Trip Gamer before the day is out, as we kind of get into the thick of things, or if I make a couple of silly outs, I immediately go back to what's comfortable for me, and that is my U-Trip Gamer, because that's what I swing all the time. The technology and performance in the ASA bats versus the U-Trip bats for the 52s is a whole different topic for another video, and I'd be a fool to deny that a bat designed specifically for the 52-300 isn't going to lead to better performance. Now, leave a comment down below if this is something you'd like to see me discuss on this channel as well. That gap in performance, though, between the ASA bat and the 52 and the U-trip bat in the 52 is honestly debatable in my opinion. I have not once hit a 52-300 with my U-trip gamer and thought to myself, man, I wish I would have hit that with an ASA bat. It would have been a hit. Because at the end of the day, the 52-300 greatly relies on the swing that was put on it, not what it has been hit with. So to give myself the best chance to be consistent, I need to be able to show up and swing one bat damn near everywhere I go, and that's only going to lead to more consistency at the plate, which greatly outweighs the small increase in performance between the two. My mind tells me that if I have to rely on technology in order to ensure success at the plate, I need to reevaluate my hitting approach. I know that might sound harsh to some players, but it's not an attack on the people who switch bats when they hit 52s, because I know a lot of people do, and some of the best hitters I know and have ever known still do the same thing. Why not give yourself the confidence if it's there, right? I personally don't like switching bats, so that's what I do. It's just me being 100% transparent on why I do what I do. At the end of the day, you got to swing what feels good, but to me, getting into a big debate with 52s, with certain U-trip bats over others, really, it's a moot point to me. I've felt that way. We've hit 52s, like I said, for the last 10 plus years, and been doing bat reviews for the 10 plus years, hit 100 plus U-trip bats, and not one bat has stood out to me as like, oh my gosh, it's so good. So that's kind of how I feel about that topic on that video. Sorry for the delay in getting this out. I've been busy, been working a lot of overtime and such. Not going well. Okay. With the overtime is coming. It's here, and it's here to stay for a while probably. So I'm just kind of squeezing these in when I can. It's 12:46 in the morning, and I've got to be at work at 5:30. But I wanted to try and get something out for you guys, so that's why we're here knocking this one out. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below with your thoughts and opinions. Like I said, this is mine. I'm not going to go out of my way to get out a pocket radar and a compression tester and do all this goofy shit. Like, if you feel the need to go prove me wrong on this, then by all means go for it. So if you give me a chance to overthink anything, I can, and that's what I've done here for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit of different content here. I'm trying to go out of my way to make some more stuff like this. I hope you weren't too annoyed with me reading off my old teleprompter here, because I didn't want to try and word salad this and take forever to edit it. I could just read off of here and let it rip, because it was best for me to try and get out what I needed to without trying to wander for words. So I hope it wasn't too cringy for you. Let me know in the comments down below on that too, because I'm going to try and do that moving forward. It's really easy for me to put out a thought and then be able to just read it back instead of trying to reach for words out of the sky as I'm like doing this actively, trying to gather my thoughts, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Let me know what other kind of topics you might want to see a content style like this on. Swing hard in case you hit it. BP Hero. Catch you next time.